Part 13. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 121. At the beginning of the new year, on January 4th, Weibo hot searches exploded again. Hashtag Xieting Zhou and Jin Lingyun are engaged. Hashtag Kinmen Yugui and handsome grilled sausages are married. Hashtag. These two strange hot searches rushed up directly. Maybe everyone doesn't know who the first one is, but the second one, Kinmen Yugui and handsome grilled sausages, has been a hot topic this year. What's more, this year Kinmen Yugui's Benban pear canned food was even on the central news, praised by various Blue vs, and sold out directly. So everyone naturally knows that the eldest daughter of Kinmen Yugui and the founder of Handsome Grilled Sausage are not only college classmates, but they have been together before starting a business. A perfect match made in heaven. And the netizens who clicked in thought they were just eating melons. But after seeing the latest promotion, sorry, I'm going to rush first. Jinmen Yugalo to celebrate the engagement of our eldest lady, Miss Jin Lingyun, and Mr. Xieting Zhou, the boss of Handsome Sausage, Jinmen Yugalo will send wedding candies to customers for free in the next 10 days. Friends in Shangjing City can come and get them. Benban pear canned food Benban pear to celebrate the engagement of my founder, Mr. Xieting Zhou, and the beautiful and generous Miss Jin Lingyun. All friends who buy Benban pear canned food from now on can get Jinmen Yugalo special wedding candies only for 10 days. Of course, Handsome Sausage is not far behind. Handsome Sausage Handsome Sausage to celebrate the engagement of the boss, Mr. Xieting Zhou, and the eldest lady of Kinmen Yugalo, Mr. Jin Lingyun. All friends who buy any kind of sausage from now on can get Jinmen Yugalo special wedding candies, only for 10 days. Not only that, Jinny Yulong Pure Wine Industry also released the latest information. Jin Yulong Pure Wine Industry Jin Yulong celebrates the engagement of Miss Jin Lingyun and Mr. Xieting Zhou. From now on, all products are sold at 20% off. Every bottle of wine can be given a special wedding candy from Jinmen Yugalo. Only for 10 days. Thank you for your support. For rich people, it may be an engagement, but for netizens, it is a bargain. It's a waste not to take it. Some social bulls in Shangjing City have rushed to Jinmen Yugalo to ask for wedding candy. At the entrance of Jinmen Yugalo, there are several large platforms. The etiquette ladies dressed in festive clothes are giving candy to passers-by. Everyone can get at least 10, a full handful, and it is uniquely customized by Jinmen Yugalo. Everyone seemed to be able to feel the happiness of the Jin family. They specially found a factory to customize this wedding candy. The wedding candy is chocolate, and the outer packaging is gold and red. On the wrapping paper, there is the icon of Kinmen Yugalo and the cute Q version figures of Xieting Zhou and Jin Lingyun. At first glance, it is engagement wedding candy, which is very festive. Chinese people are like this. As long as it is a happy event, they will go to get wedding candy and send a few words of blessing. It can be said that the whole Kinmen Yugalo is full of blessings. Of course, it is mainly because the price of Kinmen Yugalo is not low. A table of food costs at least 100,000 yuan. Most of them need to be booked. Ordinary people may not be able to afford the food of Kinmen Yugalo in their lifetime. It is also great to be able to receive wedding candy this time. As for those netizens from other places, they naturally choose to buy handsome grilled sausages or stupid pear cans to get the special wedding candy of Kinmen Yugalo. Please. People have said that this special wedding candy is chocolate, and it is a big one. If you buy 10 of them yourself, you will need 70 or 81 boxes. If they give it to you for free, why don't you buy it? Even people who like to drink, even if it's not for wedding candy. Jin Yulong Pure Wine at 20% off. There will be no such store after this village. So all kinds of dealers and ordinary people who like to drink are buying like crazy. It can be said that they are really working hard. How many people have rushed to sell the special wedding candy made by Jinmen Yugalo? It can be said that in just one day, the handsome grilled sausage and stupid pear canned food have reached a new peak again. Seeing the sales, the wedding candy factory can't stop and works frantically. At this moment, the Jin family has taken a private plane to Kinglu City. Tomorrow is the day of the engagement banquet. The Jin family also came here after being busy. After the engagement banquet, they will stay in Shijia village for a few days, and then they will come back to the engagement banquet at home. There are also many things to do. Although the wedding candies this time are all given away, and it will be easy to spend 20 or 30 million at that time, but I am happy. Even Mr. Jin was so happy after seeing all the messages and blessings from netizens. Isn't it just spreading sugar? It's okay, give it to him. We have money, give it to him. When the private plane landed in Kinglu City, the vehicles that had been prepared long ago were parked outside. They were luxury cars arranged by the Xie family. Now that they have money, Xie Tingzhou has 20 million yuan to arrange the engagement banquet for his family, so his family must handle it well. The cars rented this time are the most comfortable and expensive, and they must welcome the Jin family well. Inside the airport, the Jin family met the Xie family, and even Mr. Xie came over. After seeing Mr. Jin, the two old men talked together. Xie's Haiming even talked to his in-law Jin Dexuan. Yulu was a little shy, but Gu Tingyun took the lead, and the women also started chatting. Later, when they returned to Shijia village, the men sat in a car and chatted, and the women did the same. They said some words of praise to Xie Tingzhou and Jin Lingyun to each other, but they were all very satisfied, and everyone had a smile on their faces. Not only Grandpa Jin came from the Jin family, but also several master chefs who had a very good relationship with Jin Lingyun and watched her grow up, as well as some relatives and friends, so they chartered a plane to come here. When everyone's car entered Shijia village, as soon as they reached the road from afar, they saw that the road was full of people. A golden dragon was flying on the road, dancing to a new world with festive music. The dragon and phoenix danced beautifully. There were also golden lions leading the way. The golden lions were swaggering on the road, and there were all kinds of acrobatics. It was very lively. Jin Lingyun was very happy to see this scene, and took her mother's hand and said, "Mom, look, it was the same when I first came to Shijia village. Everyone was so lively. There were lions and dancing. Look, there are dragons now." Gu Tingyun hadn't seen such a lively scene for a long time. Unlike the big cities, everything here is full of sincerity, which is the ultimate liveliness. After that, the people of the Jin family got off the car and walked forward with the people of the Xie family. They heard a few bangs, which were the sound of firecrackers. As a result, the ribbons hit the sky. Along with the ribbons, there were golden sequins and red rose petals falling. There was a lively scene everywhere, and it made people feel happy. It had been a long time since Mr. Jin had seen such a big scene, so he could naturally feel the welcome and expectation of everyone in Jinjia village. He was smiling now. They were all from the north, which was a little different from the south. In the midst of the petals, there were also the popping daytime fireworks blooming in the sky, which was very lively. Our village has also prepared fireworks in the evening, and everyone will watch them together. Mr. Xie said to Mr. Jin that they spent a lot of money on this engagement, and they bought millions of fireworks alone, which could be set off for 20 minutes, and they would be lively together in the evening. Okay. As a guest, Mr. Jin naturally felt the feeling of being valued by the Xie family, and the whole village valued him, which made people feel very happy. When they arrived at the Xie family together, the Xie family's house was ordinary, but it was clean and comfortable. The people in the Xie family were very sincere and would not flatter the Jin family too much, but they also sincerely thanked the Jin family for taking care of Xie Tingzhou. The afternoon was spent in everyone's fun. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Shijia village and several neighboring villages knew that they were going to set off fireworks, so they came out early. When the fireworks began to bloom in the sky, people's faces were full of smiles in the dark. In such a lively crowd, Sieting Zhou held Jin Lingyun's hand and was blessed by every villager who had watched him grow up. Such happiness really made people feel comfortable. Jin Lingyun was also very happy. When the fireworks burned out, the two kissed in the dark amid the villagers cheering, and the family members around them cast their blessing eyes. As elders, what they most want to see is the happiness of their children. Children can love each other, which is the greatest happiness in the world. On the second day, Jin Lingyun also got up very early and changed into a red dress. It was not so cold in January in the south, so the outside was also red fur. Although the color was very bright, it was perfectly controlled by Jin Lingyun. Sieting Zhou rarely wore a white suit, which made people feel extremely good looking, and Jin Lingyun was stunned. This day was their engagement day. With the blessings of the whole village, the two of them only spoke a few words and then let everyone start the feast. There were 2 bottles of Jinni Yulong pure wine on each table. It can be said that this kind of thing that the villagers were reluctant to take out to drink during the new year, now there is on each table, which can be said to make everyone eat and drink to their heart's content and be very happy. The Xie family has risen, and Chijia village has also risen, so although Mr. Xie said that he would not accept gifts this time, he could not stop the enthusiasm of the villagers and still accepted a few. However, this banquet and wine alone are already very luxurious. After the banquet, Sieting Zhou took the Jin family to visit the handsome sausage factory. After staying in Chijia village for a few days, it was time to return to Shangjing city to handle the engagement. The Xie family had already packed up and followed the Jin family's private plane back to Shangjing city together. It was their first time to come to such a big city, and their first time to live in Sieting Zhou's villa. Although they were nervous, they were full of expectations for the future. Sieting Zhou's teachers, friends, and Jin's work partners were all ready to bless the newlyweds. On January 15, a banquet was held at Jinmen Yugalo in Shangjing city. The guests invited were all the dignitaries and business partners of the Jin family, as well as Sieting Zhou's family, teachers, and friends. It was very lively. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 122. Kinmen Yugui Tower is originally the top restaurant in Beijing. It is as high as 10 floors and covers an area of nearly, so it is more than enough to accommodate an engagement banquet. Everyone who comes in this time needs to have an engagement invitation. This is also to prevent anything from happening at the engagement party. After all, the people who come are all people of high status, including high-ranking dignitaries, luxury businessmen, and academic masters. If not, check it carefully. If something happens, it will be really regrettable. After the previous wedding candy delivery, there was no one at the entrance of Kinmen Yugui Tower. All the people who stopped were luxury cars, and all the people who stepped out were distinguished people. Very few people know about medicated wine. Most of them are only the top elites. After all, the mass production of this thing is too slow and the price is high. Not everyone can afford it. A bottle of 500 ml of medicated wine, it's just over $1 million. How can ordinary people afford it? The emergence of this medicinal wine was originally intended for targeted groups. Therefore, when Xiang Jingshan and others came over to have a dinner together, they really did not expect that the people they met were not only business elites who were often interviewed on the financial channel, but also top-level figures who had only appeared in the news. Anyway, he is the kind of awesome person that you will be introduced to when you search Baidu Encyclopedia. The principal of Shanghai Finance College and many teachers had received the invitation. They all took care of Sieting Zhou to a greater or lesser extent, so naturally they had the status to attend the engagement banquet. There were not many friends invited by Sieting Zhou. He was busy studying when he was in the class. The whole school only had good relations with Xiang Jingshan, Niu Song, and Wan Yufan, so this engagement party was naturally the three of them are indispensable. Jin Lingyun also discovered this matter, so he specially arranged for Pu Hongyi, Ye Yuking, and Miao Tongtong to sit at the same table with Xiang Jingshan and the others. This way it would not be embarrassing. After all, everyone here was those with status, each circle has its own fixed friends, and the tables are arranged to the extreme, so you have to sit according to the position. Xiang Jingshan's location is actually quite remote, but people at this table don't feel bad at all. On the contrary, they feel that they are honored to be able to come to such a big event. After all, there are many things here that you can only watch on TV. The people I met online. Oh my God, I never thought in my lifetime that I would attend someone else's engagement party with so many big shots. Ting Zhou has given us a lot of face. Niu Song raised his thumb, he really felt awesome. Although he was very busy with work during this period, everyone was very fulfilled, so he was in a good mood now, and he was happy for Xie Ting Zhou. Of course, Ting Zhou himself is also very capable. He has developed various products by himself. I heard from Miss Jin that many of Jinman Yugui's dishes have also been improved by Ting Zhou, so Ting Zhou I'm not surprised at all to be liked by the Jin family. Xiang Jingshan nodded seriously. As a businessman, he understood how valuable people like Xie Ting Zhou were. A child who came out of the countryside never forgets his hometown and helps to build his hometown when he has the ability and methods. He is also particularly capable in a certain aspect and even works very hard to start a business. He is also a filial boyfriend to Jin Lingyun. Who doesn't like such a person? And just in terms of personal character, he respects his teachers and takes care of his friends like them. He doesn't look down on them just because he became the son-in-law of the Jin family. This is already much better than ordinary people. Because if you are a brother, you can bring your family and your brothers to be rich together when you become rich, that is really awesome. That's true. In fact, Ting's whose company is doing well now. Many girls want to find him as their boyfriend. I didn't know who sent Ting's whose WeChat before. The girls posted it and asked Ting Zhou directly. If I change my WeChat account, it might not be the same if I change it to someone else. Ting Zhou only has Miss Jin in his heart. I think the two of them are a perfect match. Before Ting Zhou met Miss Jin, but he doesn't even look at other girls. Wan Yufan also spoke, sighing sincerely. After all, they had been in the same dormitory together for so long, and Xie Ting's whose somewhat cold temperament was clearly visible, because he got scholarships every time he studied well, and he was also handsome. There were countless people who wrote confession letters to Xie Ting Zhou, as well as people who confessed their love directly in person or to the wall. But Xie Ting Zhou didn't like it either. Didn't he only fall in love with Jin Lingyun in the end? This shows that there is a destined fate between the two. Moreover, both of them are first loves. How happy it is that this first love can get engaged and get married. How many men and women dream of it? The three girls on the side were extremely envious as they heard this. They knew how Xie Ting Zhou, a 24 filial boyfriend, came to be. Others did not know, but the three of them knew that Xie Ting Zhou had a unique talent in improving prescriptions. If they went out to do it alone, it is estimated that he will become a hero in a few decades. As a result, all Xie Ting's whose recipes were given directly to Kinman Yugalo for free. In fact, any one of these recipes can support a restaurant. After all, a chef can have one specialty dish and eat it for a lifetime. This is the case in the catering industry. What we want is taste, and what we want is that everyone likes this bite. And Xie Ting's whose talent in this area is enough to cover up all his family background. The Jin family is now hastily getting engaged. Who in the industry doesn't know that it is to keep Xie Ting Zhou, a golden rooster that can lay eggs? Pu Hongyi felt that Miss Jin's vision in choosing a boyfriend was as sharp as her business. Ye Yuking attended such an engagement party because she had a boyfriend recently, hoping that she could have a good ending with her boyfriend. Miao Tongtong was envious and jealous in her heart, but her face was full of blessings. The family business was getting better again. Miao Tongtong was praised by her parents, but she also knew in her heart that her family was unreliable. She had to continue to cling to Miss Jin's skirt. It would be great if she could start her own company in the end. But some people in the school are envious and jealous to death, ha 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 ha. These people, while scolding, envy, don't look at Ting Zhou and say that it's not about starting a business. Just with this face, he can go out and become a star, okay. Xiang Jingshan talked about the school forum. After all, since the news that Jin Lingyun was going to get engaged to Xie Tingzhou came out, the hot searches have exploded, not to mention the school forum. All kinds of sour words have emerged one after another, meaning that the poor boy soared to the sky and married the daughter of a wealthy family, and then he would have to work less for decades. But these people didn't think about it. At the beginning, Xie Tingzhou was selling grilled sausages directly and down to earth. Was it because the grilled sausages were delicious that he first appeared on the hot search? It's because the boss is handsome, okay. Later, the sausage became popular and changed its name. Handsome sausage can generate a lot of profits in a day. Now, it is easy to make tens of millions a day. So, if there was no Xie Tingzhou's face at the beginning, and no such stunning glimpse, would this handsome sausage be so popular? So, if you move up in your life, you rely on the right time, right place, and right people. Once you have two of them, the other one will come to you. Before Xie Tingzhou succeeded in his business, didn't Miss Jin fall in love with him? And she even made their relationship public? Niu Song and Wan Yufan also nodded seriously. That's right. Lao Si's face can really make his debut as a star. I'm not surprised who likes him, okay. As people in the dormitory, they all know the charm of Xie Tingzhou's face. In addition, Xie Tingzhou can always get scholarships. Who doesn't like such an excellent and good-looking handsome guy? The three of them chatted, and the three women on the side were also laughing. After a long while, the engagement banquet officially began. The elders of the Jin family personally delivered Jin Lingyun to Xie Tingzhou, and then the elders gave their blessings. The people of the Xie family spoke first, and after they said that they liked Jin Lingyun, they naturally blessed her. After all, who doesn't like a daughter-in-law like Miss Jin Lingyun? As soon as Mr. Jin spoke, everyone present was stunned. Today is the day when my granddaughter Jin Lingyun is engaged. On such a good day, I announce that I will transfer 5% of the shares of the Jin group to my granddaughter Jin Lingyun. Jin Lingyun is also the only heir of our Jin family in this generation. Please take care of her in the future. Although everyone knew that Jin Lingyun was the only child in this generation of the Jin family, even if she was a girl, the family business would be handed over to her, but I really didn't expect Mr. Jin to announce it so early. 5% of the shares. The shares of the Jin Group. This year's dividends alone may be more than 10 billion. In addition, our Jin family got a satisfactory grandson-in-law today. Our family likes Tingzhou very much. He has a harmonious family, loving parents, and a successful academic career. Now his career is also thriving. I am very happy to have this grandson-in-law. On such a good day, I also announced that I will give 5% of the shares of Jin Group to my grandson-in-law Xie Tingzhou. Please take good care of my granddaughter and grandson-in-law in the future. This news shocked everyone present. Not to mention the people who attended the wedding banquet. Xie Tingzhou standing on the stage was also a little surprised. Jin Lingyun didn't know that grandpa would suddenly do this, but the two still accepted it. In addition to being shocked, the Xie family also lamented that the people of the Jin family liked Tingzhou, and some people below had to curse the Jin family's calculations, which was to completely tie Xie Tingzhou to the Jin family's shipyard. Now they give shares without getting married. What else do they want to give in the future? No matter how shocked everyone was, after the blessing, the dishes were served. It was the most popular part of the feast. The top chefs of Jinmen prepared a wedding banquet, and each table was worth at least 300,000 or 400,000 yuan. Just after sighing at the 5% of the shares, Xiang Jingshan and others were shocked by the 300,000 or 400,000 yuan of delicacies per table. Each one was something they had never eaten before, and each one was so delicious that people couldn't stop eating. And someone posted this matter online. It was shocking enough that Xie Zhou and Jin Lingyun each got 5% of the shares of Jin Group, but the most popular thing was this wedding banquet. #Jinmen Feast once again became a hot search. Looking at the sea cucumbers, abalones, and precious dishes on the table that could not be named, when netizens heard someone popularize that this table of dishes cost 300,000 or 400,000 yuan, they were all shocked. Is this a wedding banquet for rich people? A table of dishes cost 300,000 or 400,000 yuan. I also want to pay a share of the money to go to the banquet, can I? Woohoo! Besides, the engagement banquet costs 3 or 400,000, and the Jin Yulong pure wine costs tens of thousands of yuan. What do you want to do when you get married? Do you want to have a full banquet? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 123. However, no matter how netizens complained, people were still very happy about this engagement. They received the special wedding candies from Jinmen 10 chocolates tasted very fragrant, and if you go out to buy them, you have to spend a lot of money. Now you can get them for free. Therefore, netizens did not hesitate to praise the two and leave the best wishes for their engagement. They were all sincere. After the engagement, it was the Chinese New Year. The Xie family did not have the custom of forcing Xie Tingzhou to return to the village for the Chinese New Year. They lived in the villa area for a week after Xie Tingzhou got engaged, and still felt that home was the most comfortable. This person is old, and the homesickness is naturally different from when he was young. In addition, everyone in the family is a leader of a certain size in the sausage factory, so they all want to go home to work, and they also have to give New Year gifts to the employees in the factory during the Chinese New Year. As for whether anyone will question Xie Tingzhou's nepotism, I'm sorry, you spend so much money to open a factory, and you can't let your relatives be a small leader in it? He is not the kind of leader who manages things, but a leader who simply wants to work. This is enough to make the Xie family care about him. The canteen department of the factory is managed by Xie Tingzhou's mother and aunts. Don't say they are greedy. The closer they are to Xie Tingzhou, the less they want to take advantage of their family, so they manage the canteen very well. Xie Tingzhou's father and 2 other uncles were also arranged to other places in the factory. Although they are small leaders, they also have people above them, so everyone lives a comfortable life. It's not that if my son is successful, I have to lie down and wait for food. Everyone still likes to gain respect from others and money through their own labor. Moreover, this factory was open to help the family get rich, so there is a top factory director above to support and manage everything in the factory. The villagers of Shijia village and Dongguo county below only need to be obedient. Only when the factory makes a lot of money can everyone's salary be higher. After the wedding banquet, Xie Tingzhou and Jin Lingyun sent everyone from the Xie family to the private plane, and the Jin family's private plane sent everyone back together. Before leaving, Xie Haiming and Yulu also told Xie Tingzhou to take good care of Jin Lingyun. They really regarded Jin Lingyun as their daughter-in-law. As for whether to go home for the New Year, the Xie family's response was that if work is not busy, you can come back once. If you are busy, it is better not to come back this year, because they are busy. Yes, the Xie family is very busy this year. Xie Tingzhou's cousins are busy with them. If Xie Tingzhou goes home, he will probably have to entertain them, so it is better not to go back. After sending the Xie family away, Jin Lingyun laughed. It seems that you are not so popular at home. Your uncle and aunt said that you'd better not come back for the new year. Thinking of the uncle's accidental slip of the tongue and then supplementing it, Jin Lingyun really thinks that the Xie family is very cute, and her future parents are also very cute. Well, they should be very busy this year. If I go back, or take you back with me, they will inevitably have to entertain you. So I won't go back this year. Can I spend the new year at your house? Xie Tingzhou held his girlfriend's hand and said this very confidently, which made Jin Lingyun even happier. Of course, my parents welcome you very much, including my grandfather. Jin Lingyun wondered how she could have such a good boyfriend. He is capable and considerate, and the parents-in-law she met are also very good people. For the future, Jin Lingyun is particularly looking forward to it, because every day in the future, there will be such a person around, which is really good. In the end, Xie Tingzhou spent the new year at the Jin family. Because of his new identity in the new year, Xie Tingzhou received a big red envelope from Mr. Jin and the Jin family couple. It was also in line with the scene. Mr. Jin asked Xie Tingzhou and Jin Lingyun to sign the company's agreement, which is 5% of the shares of the Jin Group. With this 5% of the shares alone, Xie Tingzhou will make more than 10 billion yuan every year. Even if he separates from Jin Lingyun in the future, this share will be in his name and cannot be taken away. People outside envy Xie Tingzhou for successfully marrying a wealthy family, but only the people of the Jin family know how much benefit the medicinal wine has brought to the Jin family. As long as Xie Tingzhou stays in the Jin family, it will be a long-term benefit in the future. It's not strange that Xie Tingzhou accepted this share. After the new year, do you think it's heading towards a better future? Oh no, it's the graduation thesis that is about to be faced. Xie Tingzhou and Jin Lingyun are both seniors. Facing the remaining half of their academic career, they naturally need to work and write papers. In June, the two officially graduated from Shangjing University of Finance and successfully obtained their graduation certificates. After that, Jin Lingyun officially returned to Jin's group for internship, and then she was promoted step by step in Jin's group according to her father Jin Dexuan's arrangement, until the day when she could control Jin's group. After graduation, Xie Tingzhou was busy meeting several factories. There was no way, the handsome sausage was still very popular. It was not just ordinary meat sausage, but also corn sausage, black pepper sausage, fish sausage, etc. Various strange sausages evolved from semi-finished products to snacks that can be eaten directly. It can be said that the sales from the beginning of this year to August were very good, with profits of hundreds of millions every month. After going through the Jin family's channels, they even negotiated export business with foreign countries. It can be said that the development is very rapid. On this basis, Xie Tingzhou continued research and development. He made a lot of snacks in the next 2 years, and was directly called the Snack King by netizens. He opened another snack company called Miss Snacks, which not only made braised chicken legs, braised duck necks, braised pig trotters and other meat products, but also made puffed food and pickled cucumbers that pregnant women like to eat. As soon as this pickled cucumber came out, it immediately became a hot search topic. The most hilarious thing is that everyone speculated whether Jin Lingyun was pregnant. Otherwise, why would Xie Tingzhou develop such a thing? Miss Pickled Cucumber has a wonderful effect, that is, as long as pregnant women smell it, they will retching immediately, and then get sick after taking 2 mouthfuls. This makes many people joke about using this to test their wives or friends. I really found out that my wife was pregnant later. Oh my god. Buy a lady's pickled cucumber, which is more accurate than a pregnancy test stick, and the taste that pregnant women like makes its sales boom. Not only that, Xie Tingzhou also specially made a special sugar-fried hawthorn for anorexia. This kind of hawthorn is soaked in medicine and then fried with special white sugar, which can make anorexic patients have an appetizing effect after eating, and even more easily get them to accept regular meals. This is the second snack with medicinal effects produced by Sieting Joe Company. After all, the previous canned Benbon pear has been sold like crazy and has spread directly from China to all over the world. Therefore, after the sugar-fried hawthorn came out, it also sold like crazy. In the next 5 years, Sieting Joe has occupied a place in the domestic snack industry. His company has even successfully gone public with the assets of selling snacks. It can be said that he is a real young talent. The business here at Kinmen is also good. It has been more than a year since the reservation was made. After all, Sieting Joe comes over every month if there is nothing to do. He will come up with a few recipes. The masters of Kinmen are even more enthusiastic. I particularly like the new recipe. Naturally, this improved recipe has attracted more people to like it, which shows how popular it is. And Sieting Joe, after 6 years, unexpectedly returned to the domestic financial channel. This time it is not Entrepreneurship Pioneer. This time the program is Times Finance. If Entrepreneurship Pioneer is for those entrepreneurs who have just started their own business, this Times Finance program specifically invites top executives in a certain industry to participate. What is surprising is that the host of this interview is Zheng Yun. So the show was very interesting after it started. Mr. Every snack we sell is loved by netizens. Have you ever thought about the current situation? Sieting Joe laughed at Zheng Yun's question. Actually, I haven't thought about it. I never thought about making snacks before. If I hadn't met my fiancée, I guess I wouldn't be able to make these snacks in my life. This answer is correct. The original owner's golden finger came only because of Jin Lingyun's appearance. If the original owner had any ideas about cooking, it was definitely because he wanted fame, wealth, and status. There was no interest in cooking at all. Love. Sieting Joe doesn't like cooking either. All he can do is make these wonderful foods more delicious, more convenient, and cheaper, so that more people in the world can experience the happiness brought by delicious food. This is far more delicious than the food you cook and the joy it brings to a few people. Then we should really thank your fiancé, but I heard that Jin Lingyun is also a good cook. I believe you were influenced by her to make handsome sausage, which gave us so many good things. Food. Sieting Joe nodded and generously stuffed dog food to the audience who were about to see this show. After that, many questions that many people wanted to ask were asked by the host. Mr. Xie, many netizens are curious about how you started from scratch and made handsome guy's sausage a big step by step, and then made the current lady snacks. Do you have any experience to share with everyone? After all, it is a financial program, so how to start a business is naturally everyone's focus. Young entrepreneurs like Sieting Joe, who started from scratch, can serve as industry models for everyone to follow. But what Sieting Joe said shocked the host Zheng Yun. First of all, you have to make a sausage that everyone will like, preferably one that can sell 30,000 sausages a day. Zheng Yun looked at Sieting Joe blankly and heard Sieting Zhu's next words. Secondly, you need to have one of the best universities in the country, which is willing to give you tens of millions of entrepreneurial loans for your business. Next, you need to have a lot of very rich teachers who appreciate you and love to help you. Each of them will give you a startup capital ranging from 5 million to 10 million, and they won't let you write EIS. Finally, you need to have a girlfriend who loves you very much and is willing to take you to meet your parents. Then your father-in-law will give you a check of 300 million, and you can start from scratch like me. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 124. Seeing that the word self-made was directly redefined by this young man who had successfully started his own business, Zheng Yun couldn't help but laugh or cry. After all, the purpose of the program was to let many young people see the benefits of starting a business, not to tell young people how much they have to start a business. Successful. But you started with nothing, right? Zheng Yun tried hard to bring the topic back, but Xie Zhou said seriously to the camera. Many netizens know that I was born in Chijia village, Dongguo County, Qinglu City, from an ordinary family. Even when I started my business, my grandfather, my father, 2 uncles, and an aunt all took out their own coffin books. Only had 1 million, which proves how high the cost of starting a business for an ordinary family is. If I failed at that time, our entire family would be in a state of catastrophe. Therefore, I recommend that all young people who want to start a business first read see if you meet the criteria for entrepreneurship before starting a business. This is true. After all, not every entrepreneur has the cost of trial and error. I just said that because I also want to tell everyone that you must first have a business idea that is different from others. At least in the early stages, you have shown shocking abilities. Secondly, if a person wants to start a business successfully, he cannot do without the help of the people around him, so the people around him are particularly important. You must let others see your ability, so that others can believe in you, trust you, and then help you unconditionally. This requires you to be tough. For example, I am not from a good background, but I studied hard and got admitted to Beijing University of Finance and Economics. Therefore, my entrepreneurship was because my parents were willing to spend all their money on me because I graduated from a top university. Give it to me, the school is willing to give me a loan, and the teachers are willing to support me without any IOU. This is a very real thing. Sometimes, your personal ability is actually only a small part, and the rest is probably a matter of connections and channels. To put it bluntly, it is awareness. When the circles you come into contact with are different, then your thoughts will be different, and you will get more things. Zheng Yun had nothing to say, because after living in this society for a long time, he naturally understood that what Xie Zhou said was true, but for many ordinary people, they simply did not have such channels and relationships. So I encourage everyone to study hard, improve themselves, and enter the best university. You will succeed in the first step. Then if you work hard on yourself, you will succeed in the second step. If you ask me, I can't get into the top university, what should the school do? Then I can only tell any entrepreneur who does not have such strong academic qualifications not to increase the cost of trial and error, because entrepreneurship is not just about success, and some people will be in trouble after failure. Xie Zhou is very serious about talking to everyone as an entrepreneur. Although his previous words have some Versailles meaning, what he says later is definitely sincere. He sincerely wants to persuade every entrepreneur, even though no one around him now this opportunity. After being contacted for the program interview, Zheng Yun teased Xie Zhou with a smile. Now Mr. Xie is going to be on the hot search again. Netizens are probably going to explode after hearing what Mr. Xie said. Xie Zhou didn't agree with this, but he also laughed. Then let it go. Anyway, I tell the truth. Some people don't like to hear the truth. Therefore, after such an interview, the program Times Finance became a hot search immediately after it was broadcast. Hashtag Versales hashtag. Hashtag redefine self-made business hashtag. How can hashtag Xie Zhou say such cold words with a mouth that is 36.8 degrees Celsius? Hashtag. Hashtag. 4 consecutive hot searches are enough to prove the public's evaluation and popularity of Xie Zhou. After all, the name Xie Zhou is the favorite among young people, and the various snacks developed by him are really delicious. Of course, after watching Xie Zhou's interview, netizens also had something to say. I follow more than 10,000 articles every day. I just want to say that Mr. Xie has redefined starting from scratch. Those so-called big bosses in the past all lied to us. They all like to brag that they are self-made, and they don't even talk about how rich their parents are. Now Mr. Xie directly said that he took 300 million from his father-in-law. I admire him. Wish Fairy Wang Shu won't gain weight. I also want to be Kinman Yugui's grandson-in-law. Miss Jin, do you like girls? I can make sausages for you too. Lazy cat, am I the only one who thinks this person is a bit pretentious, woo-hoo-hoo, while feeding dog food into our mouths, telling us that starting from scratch is just a dream, let us stop thinking about it. Eternal laughter, woo-hoo, I will announce in the future that there will be an entry when mentioning Xieting Zhou again, self-made Xieting Zhou, you are simply not human. No matter how weird netizens are, Xieting's whose life is going well anyway. This is probably a common problem among all wealthy people. They will not be known until they become famous. When everyone knows their names, someone will come to interview them. They will speak all kinds of outrageous languages. For example, a certain richest man in the country said that he didn't like money at all. For example, the CEO who married a beautiful young wife said he didn't know that his wife was beautiful. For example, when he was starting a business, a certain boss directly set a small goal of 100 million for himself. Hey, if you listen to these words, people are successful and famous. Is it possible that you, an ordinary person, really believe this? Although Xieting Zhou is Versailles, what he said is at least true. The school gave tens of millions, the teacher gave tens of millions, the family also exchanged money, friends also helped, and with the 300 million from his father-in-law, he has now become a listed company. Isn't this right? Netizens continue to be sour on Xieting Zhou's success with his father-in-law, but privately he secretly let his children apply for the Beijing University of Finance. After all, which university has so many entrepreneurial loans? Which university's teachers are so generous to give you millions or tens of millions to start a business? So I came to the Beijing University of Finance. My son is here. My daughter is here. After Xieting Zhou's interview this year, the number of applicants for the Beijing University of Finance reached a new high, and the scores have been raised twice. It still can't stop everyone's enthusiasm. Who doesn't want to have someone who can help them? Xieting Zhou also received calls from the principal and teachers after the interview. Unexpectedly, it was the various children in the school who hinted to the teachers to borrow money after starting a business. Ha ha ha. Jin Lingyun also laughed at this. Now the teachers of Beijing University of Finance are regarded as rich bigwigs by students. Is it appropriate to ask teachers for money when starting a business? In addition, the school's entrepreneurship fund has been at the bottom every year in the past few years, which is simply crazy. In the end, this conversation ended with Xieting Zhou donating 500 million entrepreneurship funds to the school. Although it was on the hot search again, it had no impact on Xieting Zhou. Since graduation, everyone has their own jobs. Xieting Zhou and Jin Lingyun had dinner with others. Xiang Jingshan brought his girlfriend Ye Yuking. The two have met their parents and will arrange to get married soon. The other two people, Niu Song and Wan Yufan, are single dogs, so they naturally stay in the company to work overtime. Xiang Jingshan laughed when he mentioned this. You are too real. How can we make everyone believe that there is such a thing as starting from scratch in the world in the future? While eating, Xiang Jingshan teased Xieting Zhou. As the current branch leader, Xiang Jingshan is also a person who really knows how Xieting Zhou has come step by step. He also sighs at Xieting Zhou's strength and luck. These two are indispensable. So they should start a business in a proper environment, instead of following me, Xieting Zhou answered. After all, for him, although starting a business was not difficult, he really had a golden finger. For ordinary people, there is no golden finger in their lifetime. In order to prevent some families from suffering from the entrepreneurship of their children, it is best to let their children start a business within an appropriate scope. Xiang Jingshan also nodded to this, sighed and said nothing more. Jin Lingyun now has a good relationship with Ye Yuking. Some time ago, Miao Tongtong saw that Jin Lingyun was in power in the Jing group, so she became more greedy, and finally Jin Lingyun and Miao Tongtong lost contact. As for Pu Hongyi, she originally wanted to make some achievements on her own, but after playing with Xie Zhou for a long time, she became Xie Zhou's subordinates. Now she is a factory director in another place, which can be regarded as her revenge. It can be said that she is very powerful. Ye Yuqing also works in Xie Zhou's company, but it is another branch. They don't work in the same company, but everyone contributes their own strength. After finishing the meal, Xie Zhou took Jin Lingyun away. As soon as they walked out of the restaurant, they suddenly felt the coolness on their hair and face. It's snowing. Jin Lingyun looked up at the sky in surprise. Snowflakes were floating in the sky. At the moment when Jin Lingyun looked up, huge fireworks bloomed in the sky. The tassels like the sky began to slowly fall into the starry sky. Then, in front of Jin Lingyun, the silver waterfall appeared in front of her, and then there were golden fireworks spinning on it. Everything was so appropriate. In the tassels like the sky, Jin Lingyun's name appeared, which made Jin Lingyun stunned at first, and then she turned her head and saw that her boyfriend had knelt on one knee. Xie Zhou was like a knight. He smiled and raised the diamond ring that he had prepared in his hand, and asked very seriously, "My dear Miss Jin, will you marry me?" As he asked, Jin Lingyun was already so happy that she proudly stretched out her hand to him and let Xie Zhou put the diamond ring on her hand. Then there was a huge cheer around them, and ribbons and rose petals were scattered down. It was a little silly and seemed not romantic enough, but the people of the Jin family and the Xie family had already walked out from their hiding places. Every face was full of blessing smiles, and there were also blessing eyes from friends. At this moment, all the happiness in the world fell on Jin Lingyun. Under the fireworks, Jin Lingyun hugged her boyfriend's neck and kissed him without shyness. The bright and shining fireworks continued to bloom, leaving flickering light on their faces. They were finally getting married. She, Jin Lingyun, was going to marry Xie Zhou. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 125. In the dark night, several young figures can be vaguely seen sneaking around. This is a very remote suburb of Shangjing City, probably at least dozens of kilometers away from the city. And now these young people, the place where the figure is located is a famous unfinished building that has been rumored to be very popular on the internet recently. You must know that land in Shangjing City can be said to be very valuable, and it is even more unusual to be able to sell it to build houses. But this Zhuyang building is different. It was originally sold for more than 1 billion, but after several years of drafting the design, something went wrong just as the construction started. For example, the foundation could not be laid at first, and then when the house was built on it, the steel bars collapsed immediately as soon as the steel bars were put in. This is not a problem. There are many large construction vehicles that just enter the area of this place. It broke out of nowhere. This thing is very evil. Anyway, after 2 years of construction, it still turned out to be an unfinished building. Fortunately, this place was originally built to build special villas for wealthy people. Not ordinary people can afford them. Therefore, there are no victims of unfinished buildings, only from those who bought them. It took a full 10 years to build the land and build it until it became an unfinished building. How can a group be able to drag you out of bankruptcy? Therefore, after this place was unfinished, there were also various strange rumors. For example, this place was originally a cemetery, and the start of construction disturbed the ghosts below. Some netizens analyzed that this place was originally the land east of Shangjing City. There has been no construction since then. There is a huge artificial lake next to it. From the online images, it is an obvious dragon head. This place is Dragon Vein. How can you live in a place where you want? Most people can't hold it down, okay. Recently, Zhuyang's real estate has been on the hot search again, which attracted these two anchors who are not afraid of death to come and explore. Hello everyone, I have met with Meng Meng now. This time the two of us are going to take you to explore the most famous Zhuyang real estate in Shangjing City. It is said that there are many unclean things in it, so the construction has been slow. If it doesn't work, we will take you to explore this mysterious building today. I believe you will be surprised. At this moment, the man who is telling information on his mobile phone is called Chu Dingshan. He is now wearing a blue Taoist robe and is dressed like a Taoist priest. In addition, he is handsome and deliberately made to look like a Taoist priest. On the live broadcast platform he is famous for exploring various strange haunted houses in the image of a Taoist priest. Of course, many people know that this so-called exploration of a haunted house is just a script that others have played for. However, even so, many people are still willing to watch this. After all, it is late at night and they lie down under the quilt. Isn't it exciting to watch the anchor's immersive adventure in the mysterious building? It's much better than watching a horror movie, isn't it? Hello everyone, my name is Meng Meng. Today is my first time exploring with Taoist Chu, but I'm very timid. I hope Taoist Chu can protect me from now on. The female anchor who spoke also had her own live broadcast room, and was filmed by another man holding a selfie stick. This female anchor's name is Lan Ruimen, and her name on the live broadcast platform is Lan Meng Meng. She has a standard lowly face, but her figure is extremely hot. On such a summer night, in the dark, she was wearing tight-fitting short-sleeved suspenders, revealing her fair waist, and then short shorts underneath. She didn't look like she was on an adventure. On the contrary, it seemed like he was here to play with something weird. However, many anchors will do whatever it takes to become popular. Lan Meng Meng has an outgoing personality. She started live broadcasting on the sidelines. Later, she started live broadcasting with many male anchors. There are even some who are doing adventure live broadcasts now. Don't look at it. She was said to be sidelined by netizens all day long, but she was not with any of the big brothers, and she made money by live streaming and selling goods. The person holding the selfie stick for her was none other than Lan Ruimen's cousin Lin Yan. Lin Yan originally didn't support Lan Ruimen doing this, but less than a month after Lan Ruimen entered the industry, a video went viral. With millions of clicks, Lan Ruimen made a net profit of 500,000 for the first live broadcast. Later, she found her cousin Lin Yan to protect her. After all, a female anchor must be protected by a boy in a strange place. With the introduction of the two people, Chu Dingshan's live broadcast room and Lan Meng Meng's live broadcast room have rushed from the original 50,000 to 100,000. After all, this Zhuyang real estate has really become famous recently. As the first anchor to explore here, it was the right thing to eat this hot meal. There were various messages in the barrage to refresh the screen and give gifts, but the two of them didn't care to read them at the moment. Even in summer, standing at the door of this unfinished building, I feel an inexplicable cool breeze blowing from nowhere, making my whole body feel chilly. Now we have arrived at the entrance of this unfinished building. As you can see, some construction has been done on the main body of this building. But in fact, I heard that the foundation has not been done well. And today I will secretly tell you a piece of news. Then I heard from people familiar with it that the reason why Zhuyang real estate was suspended was not because the boss ran away, but because a tomb was found inside. Chu Dingshan introduced it mysteriously. In such a dark space, he let the mobile phone video switch and scan the broken rocks that seemed to be old. He was still very scared in the middle of the night. In order to prepare for this live broadcast, they came directly at 11 o'clock in the middle of the night. They had made a preview of the live broadcast before. Don't look at it now at 11 o'clock. This brave netizen is not sleeping at this time, so he can with such a high popularity. I believe if we continue to live broadcast for a while, the popularity will explode tonight. Wow! Is it true? Taoist Master Chu, if there is really a tomb here, is it just like what netizens speculated? There is really a ghost. Lan Mengmeng also started to take the comments at this time, and then made a scared look. Her chest was trembling so much that people couldn't help but want to protect her. The audience in the live broadcast room expressed their desire to protect Lan Mengmeng and gave away the gifts. The brush flew up. Seeing the exploding gifts, Taoist Chu felt quite sour. The female anchor was good. As long as she acted coquettishly, there would be many big brothers buying gifts. How could he win the favor of the grandpas in the audience by shouting at the top of his lungs? There won't be ghosts. We have to believe in science, so I'm going to take you to explore whether there is really a tomb in this Juyang real estate. Please buy the gifts for the grandpas in the audience who want to continue watching. Sure enough, with the words of Master Chu, various gifts were thrown around, and the number of fans has reached 150,000, and the popularity is even higher. It can be said that summer is the best time to watch ghost movies, and those who turn on the air conditioner it's better to live under a quilt and watch ghost movies without turning on the air conditioner. Watch this ghost live broadcast and you can cool down directly and save the cost of air conditioning. This time Lan Mengmeng came with her cousin Lin Yan, and Chu Dingshan came with his little boy Xin Yunqing. Generally speaking, Xin Yunqing never did this with his little boy. Compared to internet celebrities like Chu Dingshan, Xin Yunqing is just a safe and stable child from someone else's family. How to say it? Xin Yunqing was admitted to the police academy early. After graduating from the police academy, he was assigned to work as a police officer in Shangjing City. He has not been busy with work recently and will take the day off tomorrow. He will follow Chu Dingshan here late at night to see some unfinished buildings. As a policeman, Xin Yunqing absolutely does not believe that there is anything in this world that transcends science. There is no possibility of ghosts or anything else, and naturally there is no possibility of anything else. However, in order to support his brother's career, Xin Yunqing kept both hands very busy. While holding up a selfie stick to take pictures of Chu Dingshan, he also used a flashlight to shine on the surrounding broken rocks and even the stones under his feet. After all, this is an unfinished building, so it's not surprising that there are some messy stones inside. There were gusty winds all around, and it was even more chilly after entering this unfinished building, which made Lan Mengmeng really scared. After all, she was a girl. Although she was not afraid of ghosts and only came here to make money, she should not be afraid. Master Chu, do you think it's a little cold right now? Lan Mengmeng's voice was trembling while she was holding her chest, but Master Chu was very calm. Of course it's cold. This is an unfinished building with poor air circulation. It must be cold at night. Don't be afraid. The gentleman in the audience in your live broadcast room will protect you. Taoist Master Chu's words were directly transmitted to Lan Mengmeng's live broadcast room, and as expected, the gentlemen in the audience were buying another wave of gifts. Lan Mengmeng was no longer afraid when she saw money. After all, what ghost in the world is more terrifying than a poor ghost? The four people walked forward. Occasionally, there was the sound of wind and the sound of falling gravel from inside the dark unfinished building. Coupled with the sound of the four people breathing after silence, it was even more terrifying. At this moment, Taoist Chu took out a compass and started to do it. Look at me. Tai's Hanglejun is as anxious as the law. The compass can guide us to find the tomb here. Xin Yunqing rolled his eyes at this, feeling that his brother's pursuit of Taoism was really inferior to those liars on the internet. Why do so many viewers like him? Then the four people followed the compass and mysteriously walked to the center of the unfinished building. What no one expected was that in the center of the unfinished building, there really was a big dark hole, as if following, they waved in the same way, which shocked all four of them. Chu Dingshan reacted first and said with a smile. It seems that we came by chance. We really saw a big cave. Then all the viewers need to do is buy gifts and watch the number of fans exceed 200,000. We will live broadcast the original catacombs. Come on, this guy would give up his life for money. The same goes for Lan Mengmeng, asking the brothers and sisters in the live broadcast room whether they want to see what's in the cave. If you want to see it, please give me a gift. 5 minutes later, the two people's live broadcast rooms each exceeded 200,000, and then the gifts kept coming. In front of money, people are not afraid of anything. When Chu Dingshan looked at tonight's gift, he felt so awesome. He waved his hand. Okay. Let's see Taoist Chu take you to explore the underground tombs. It's also the first time for Taoist Chu to come to this place. Come in and explore with me. Saying this, Chu Dingshan walked into the cave. Xin Yunqing was not afraid. This kind of place was just an unfinished building. What strange things could be there? This big hole was probably left by the previous construction team, so there was nothing scary about it. Chu Dingshan walked in the front, followed by Xin Yunqing. Lan Mengmeng followed him, and behind him was Lin Yan. Of the four people, 3 of them are not afraid anymore because of money, and one of them believes in his faith as a policeman and is determined not to be afraid of ghosts and gods. After that, everyone really seemed to have descended into a cave. The long cave guided them, allowing everyone to joke while walking forward. After reaching the end, there was a particularly neat and square room in front of them. The one has a boxy coffin. When the light shone on it, the transparent crystal coffin reflected beautiful colors, which frightened the 4 people, and the fans in the live broadcast room were also frightened. What a guy! I know you are just acting, but there is no need to really put a crystal coffin in such a place. This looks too scary, brother. At this time, many netizens were so scared that they retracted their legs outside the quilt. After everyone was shocked, Chu Dingshan immediately realized that there are no ghosts in this world. Let's go forward and take a look. When he said this, Xin Yunqing nodded coldly, because he found someone in the crystal coffin. If there was a living person inside, it might be arranged by his childhood friend. If there was a dead person inside, it meant that he might have discovered a murder case, so as a policeman, Xin Yunqing couldn't retreat. Lan Ruoming bit her lip, knowing that she was earning this money and couldn't retreat, so she followed. Although Lin Yan's legs were weak, he also knew to protect his sister. 4 people approached the crystal coffin, and then Chu Dingshan took out the extra-large spotlight from his backpack. The moment it was turned on, the whole room lit up, and then Chu Dingshan shone into the crystal coffin, and the camera followed. At the moment the 4 people looked over, a man with long black hair lay quietly in the transparent and beautiful crystal coffin. A handsome face that was still bewitching even when he was asleep appeared in the eyes of the 4 people and all the viewers in the live broadcast room. A superb sleeping beauty. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 126. Chu Dingshan's words simply expressed everyone's thoughts. Because under such intense light, through the beautiful and transparent crystal coffin, you can see the sleeping beauty lying inside. The man's long black hair is casually scattered on both sides of his cheeks. Under the light, his skin is as white as if there is a layer of silver frost sprinkled on it. His high nose bridge is the kind that makes you feel handsome when you look at it alone. His rosy lips are thin, but looking at them makes people feel tempted to kiss. He closed his eyes at this time, but his long black eyelashes cast shadows on his eyelids under the light, which really makes people reluctant to blink, for fear that if they miss a glance, this person will disappear like a dream. Oh my God, how can there be such a good-looking person? Lan Mengmeng couldn't help sighing, looking at the man lying in the crystal coffin with obsession. She almost began to imagine what this man would look like after opening his eyes. Where did this Taoist Chu find such a beautiful actor? How can a man look so good? I have earned more than 20 million now. If I take it all out to have a relationship with him, will he agree? Lan Mengmeng seemed to be obsessed with the sleeping man as if she was trapped in a spell. Lan Mengmeng's cousin Lin Yan quickly regained consciousness under the temptation of the beauty, and his eyes moved from the man's face to his body. Just now, he was only looking at his face, but now he realized that the sleeping beauty lying down was indeed breathtakingly beautiful, but what was more attractive was the crown on his head. He had a golden crown on his head, inlaid with dazzling gems of various shapes, all of which were blood red, strong, and hot, making people like it after seeing it. Not only that, the man's clothes were pure black, and the gold edges inlaid on the collar and cuffs were unclear about the production process, but it made people feel that this thing must be worth a lot of money at a glance, and it was more refined than many so-called high-end luxury brands now. He wore the same red gem inside his neck, which was cut into various beautiful shapes and inlaid together. It was not only red, but also surrounded by gold, hanging on the man's chest with dazzling colors, making the man look even more wealthy. When his eyes fell on the man's hand, Lin Yan saw the huge sapphire ring on it. He seemed to fall into a deep sleep, and his fingertips were glowing white, which made the several diamond rings on his hands look beautiful and eye-catching. However, under such lighting, you will not be attracted by the gems at a glance, and you may even want to kiss the other person's fingertips. There are only 5 fingers on a hand. If an ordinary person wears rings on all 5 fingers, it will definitely look ugly and strange, but if you put them on 2 hands like this, you will take it for granted, and even feel that these gems are nothing compared to these 2 hands. All the viewers who saw the sleeping beauty in the live broadcast room were also obsessed with their mobile phones at this time, bewitched by the sleeping man in the mobile phone, and some people were so scared after seeing such a face that they knelt on the ground, and then kept kowtowing to the mobile phone. The suppression of blood made them do instinctive behavior. Chu Dingshan also came back from his shock and saw the precious gems on the sleeping beauty. Although he didn't know whether they were real or fake, they looked really beautiful, a beauty that made people intoxicated. Yunqing, come and take a look. Is the person inside dead or alive? Just looking at the skin, such whiteness doesn't look like the whiteness of a normal person. Chu Dingshan was a little creepy after realizing it. Thinking that he brought a policeman with him, he was not so scared. He was just worried that he would encounter a murder case or something. After all, they are live broadcasters. They can encounter anything, even real ghosts, but they can't encounter a murder case. When the time comes, they will be blocked directly. You can't even continue to live broadcast to make money. The audience in the live broadcast room reacted at this time and began to swipe gifts crazily. They all wanted to see the actor in the crystal coffin just now. That's right, they really want to see it. And no one thinks that this body is a body. They all think that this is definitely the actor found by Taoist Chu. Oh my god, such a good-looking actor is rare in the world. Okay. Let me take another look. Is it good to be on top? They didn't understand that they were bewitched, but just thought that they fell in love with a certain actor at first sight. At this time, in the live broadcast room of the 2 people, not only the female fans were swiping gifts crazily, but the gifts of male fans were also not far behind, and they all wanted to continue to see the legendary Sleeping Beauty. Xin Yunqing also came to his senses at this time, looking at the man in the crystal coffin with complicated eyes. If he didn't have a girlfriend and was sure that he really loved his girlfriend, the moment he came back to his senses, he would have doubted whether he liked men. Because at the moment you see the Sleeping Beauty, you just feel that your heart is beating uncontrollably for this person, and you even have an urge to kneel down and kiss his toes. This weird idea appeared in Xin Yunqing's mind, which was incredible. At this time, he heard Chu Dingshan's shouting, and Xin Yunqing came over, then reached out to touch the crystal coffin, and found that the crystal coffin was cold, and took a flashlight to check around, and found that the crystal coffin was completely closed. This result made Xin Yunking's face change suddenly. This crystal coffin, it is completely sealed and has no vents. As soon as these words came out, the four people felt that the temperature in this dark room had dropped by several degrees. It was obviously summer, but there was a chilly feeling coming from the back of the neck, which made people shudder. Especially the mobile phone live broadcast was aimed at the confusing sleeping beauty. Obviously, this crystal coffin is so clear that when they shine the light, they can clearly see the person inside, and even see the dazzling light like diamond reflected on the white face of the sleeping beauty under the light, but there is no mist when the crystal is closed. As we all know, people need to breathe. But this crystal coffin, he has no mist. In other words, this person in the crystal coffin is very likely a dead person. When Xin Yunqing thought of this, he was also horrified. Thinking that such a good-looking person actually died here, what kind of weird case was it? But the clothes and jewelry on this person looked even more expensive, and it didn't look like an ordinary murder case at all. The four people who came here were not that rich. If they had seen the world, they would find that the crown on the head and the jewels on the body of the sleeping man were all real, and each one was priceless. Now they didn't care about these things, but just wondered whether the sleeping beauty inside was alive or dead. If he was alive, why was there no fog in the crystal coffin? If he was dead, why did he look so comfortable as if he was sleeping? No. He must be alive. I don't believe it. God won't let such a beautiful person die. Lan Mengmeng seemed to be bewitched. She frantically pressed her face against the crystal coffin, trying to see clearly whether the sleeping beauty was really dead or alive. Only when she found that the other party seemed to be really not breathing, and there was no movement at all in his neck and chest, did Lan Mengmeng turn her head to look at Chu Dingshan. Master Chu, tell me, this is the actor you found, right? You are acting now, for the live broadcast ratings, right? Lan Mengmeng even said something that the anchors had tacitly agreed to but did not reveal for the sake of the sleeping handsome man. That is to say, some of the scenes seen by many viewers are the scripts of the anchors. This time, Lan Mengmeng hoped that this was a script. Even the people in the live broadcast room said that they hoped that the actor would open his eyes and let us see how beautiful this person is. Anyway, no one believed that this was a real death, and no one believed that Chu Dingshan would encounter any case. Chu Dingshan was overwhelmed, thinking about where I could find such a good-looking actor for you. If there really was one, he would have become famous overnight in the entertainment industry. Why would he need to do a haunted house live broadcast here? Really not, I really didn't find any actors. There are only 4 of us here this time. I really don't know this person, so I just said whether he is alive or dead. The live broadcast camera once again fell on the crystal coffin. At this time, the number of viewers in the 2 live broadcast rooms combined has exceeded 1 million. They are all obsessed with the sleeping handsome man. It is the kind of infatuation that makes you feel that as long as this man can open his eyes and look at you, you are even willing to kneel on the ground and kiss his toes. Not only ordinary humans in this world, but also some existence hidden in humans for thousands of years, also knelt down uncontrollably at this time, and then prayed and worshipped the sleeping man. At this moment, the 4 people who were broadcasting live did not know what kind of destructive existence they had encountered in this world. They just looked at the sleeping man in the crystal coffin and prayed in their hearts, "Wake up, wake up." Xin Yunqing, who was confused again, shook his head and picked up his mobile phone. He wanted to make a call, but the next moment, he saw a scene that shocked him. The sleeping Xieting Zhou heard many calls to himself, they told him their love for him, these loves entangled his soul, making the sleeping Xieting Zhou very annoyed, and even these loves kissed his toes, which was annoying. So the vampire prince who had been sleeping for tens of thousands of years opened his eyes when he was harassed. At this moment, not only the 4 people next to the crystal coffin were stunned, but all the fans who saw the awakening scene of the vampire prince through the camera were also directly obsessed. Those were a pair of golden purple eyes, shining with colorful light. Obviously, they were not like ordinary people, and they would never make people feel afraid. Instead, they made you indulge in them, and you wanted to kiss such eyes and want to be stared at by these eyes. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Jonghu Buletin. Chapter 127. The vampire prince who has a bad temper when he wakes up is not easy to mess with. His golden purple eyes exude bad intentions. After all, you are sleeping well at home, but a group of people who love you are crazy in your ear and say they love you. The key is that these people want to kiss his toes without any sense of boundaries. Is this appropriate? Do you think this behavior is appropriate? The harassed vampire prince is facing the camera at this time. His golden purple eyes are more dazzling than the most expensive jewelry in the world. Even with an impatient mood, the fans in the live broadcast room who saw this face still lost their voices in excitement. They stared blankly at such a pale existence with skin shining like diamonds, and their eyes were obsessed with the flowing golden purple, not knowing that they were being tempted. Oh, stupid humans, you shouldn't disturb this prince's sweet dream, or even try to harass this prince. Tonight, you will fall into the most fantastic dream. As the man lying there spoke, at this moment, these words were transmitted to everyone in the live broadcast room like a spell. At this moment, the humans who faced a certain vampire prince all felt sleepy, but what should they do before they fell asleep? Although they were hypnotized, the body's instinctive memory still let them know what to do before going to bed. Some of these people held their mobile phones in a daze, and then some turned off the hot water in the kitchen, some turned off the air conditioner, and some took a bath and lay down. They all began to go to sleep, as if they were hypnotized. The four people at the scene did not feel this. They stared blankly at the man in the crystal coffin waking up. This man was already very handsome. When he woke up, his golden purple eyes made people have an urge to kneel down. He woke up. Chu Dingshan couldn't speak clearly, and pointed at Xie Zhou in the coffin and said. Xin Yunqing was on the phone. It was the police call from their police force. Before, Xie Zhou really thought he was a corpse, but now he suddenly saw Xie Zhou open his eyes, and then heard the voice of their captain. What happened in the middle of the night? Can't we sleep? The captain was a little irritable, but he didn't hear Xin Yunqing's voice, and he was a little anxious. What's going on? Xin Yunqing, speak up. Did something happen? It was naturally terrifying in the middle of the night, and many murders often occurred in such a dark night. He woke up. Xin Yunqing also repeated, and for some reason, he felt endless admiration and respect for the man in the crystal coffin at this moment, and he almost couldn't control his knees. Who is it? Wake up. Not to mention that Xin Yunqing was stunned, Lan Mengmeng and Lin Yan were even more obsessed with Xie Zhou's open eyes. Xie Zhou also saw four men and women in modern clothes through the crystal coffin, and then he suddenly remembered that he should have slept for a long time after falling asleep. The next moment, the crystal coffin that the four people had originally surrounded suddenly opened the door of the crystal coffin automatically. Xie Zhou, who had always had the opportunity to climb out of the coffin before, was not embarrassed at all this time. The body lying there moved without wind, and actually floated out of the crystal coffin. Then he stood up and floated in the air. Seeing that his feet did not touch the ground, he floated there several heads higher than the four people, looking very high above. With a plop. It was the sound of Chu Dingshan kneeling down. Boss, please let us go. Boss, we didn't mean to see your coffin. Lan Mengmeng and Lin Yan also knelt down with weak legs, looking at the man floating in the air devoutly, with crazy eyes. Even Xin Yunqing knelt down, and the sound of kneeling could be transmitted to the mobile phone, making the captain over there anxious and asking questions. Xin Yunqing, what's going on over there? Why did I hear the coffin? Where are you? Are you in danger? The captain asked as he walked towards the technical department. He didn't know if his colleagues in the technical department had finished get off work. The captain remembered that Sin Yunking's phone seemed to have a location. Why didn't this idiot speak? Just when the captain was in a hurry, he heard Sin Yunking's voice coming from the phone. He flew up, his feet didn't touch the ground, floating in the air. Sin Yunking knelt there, looking up at the scene in front of him in disbelief. This was a scene that absolutely challenged a person's scientific concept. The man in a black gilded robe was wearing jewelry that was enough to blind your eyes. At this moment, after he stood up, a red cloak that appeared from nowhere was hung behind the man, and the windless automatic roar behind him made people feel empty and want to take a second look. Under the golden crown, the man's face was as shining as a diamond, which made people obsessed with Chengdu at a glance. His long black hair was also scattered in the air, and it seemed to have a soul and was constantly floating. It made people feel beautiful like a fantasy, but at the same time, they felt an infinite horror in their hearts. Is this something a normal human can do? They didn't know at this time that the live broadcast room had been closed at some point. There were only 4 people kneeling in a row there, looking really pitiful. Xieting Zhou looked at the 4 people and then spoke. Why did you 4 humans disturb my sleep? He seemed to have slept for too long. Although he woke up this time because he was harassed, vampires sleep for too long. If he wakes up, he will probably see a completely different world. Now seeing the modern clothes on these 4 people, Xieting Zhou is sure that he has come to the modern world, which is at least tens of thousands of years different from the previous era. The 4 people being questioned were kneeling there, all looking up, looking at Xieting Zhou with obsessed eyes, as if they didn't hear what Xieting Zhou said. Even more affected by Xieting Zhou's words, Sin Yunking uncontrollably moved his knees forward 2 steps, attracting Xieting Zhou's attention. Your Highness. Please forgive my interruption and intrusion. I just look at you sleeping here, and I respect you very much. Please allow me to kiss your toes. This was almost blurted out. Although he didn't know the identity of the other party, Sin Yunking couldn't help but speak out the most real thoughts in his heart, which made the captain on the other end of the phone speechless. He wondered if Sin Yunking had encountered some pyramid scheme organization. Was he brainwashed? But they were still working together during the day, and he was poisoned at night? And in this empty tomb, after Sin Yunking finished the sentence, he received contemptuous looks from the 3 people around him. Chu Dingshan looked at Sin Yunking with contempt. You beast! How can you say such harassing words to His Highness? Lan Ruoming looked at Sin Yunking with contempt. This person said he was a policeman, how could he harass His Highness as soon as he opened his mouth? Obviously, I should be the one who kissed His Highness's toes. Lin Yan also looked at Sin Yunking with contempt. It's too late. If I had said it earlier, would His Royal Highness have set his eyes on me? The 4 people did not realize that they had used the word His Royal Highness, as if it had popped up in their minds automatically after Xieting Zhou appeared. Xieting Zhou looked at the man kneeling on the ground with a complicated expression, thinking, what a guy. So who was I always harassing me? It turned out to be you, the guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes. How could this man have such an idea? This prince has not given me a gift for a long time, but for the sake of you awakening this prince allows you to respect me, come here. This time when he woke up, Xieting Zhou planned to have a good time. From the beginning of his birth to now, he has lived for thousands of years, and then he spent thousands of years sleeping. It is no problem to say that he is a vampire for tens of thousands of years. Although he now calls himself a prince, Xieting Zhou's ability is definitely not just a prince. After hearing Xieting Zhou's words, Sin Yunking felt that his mind was even more obsessed, and he crawled over frantically. That's right, he didn't walk. He crawled directly over. The joy of being in close contact with Xieting Zhou was about to overwhelm him, and his mind was filled with a completely controlled obsession. What do you want? Power. Speed. Vision. Hearing. The friendly vampire prince asked his believer in this way. He was obviously flying high in the sky, but he seemed to be afraid of the believer's closeness, because the only believer who came to the real world was trying to kiss his toes. How could this be possible? Different species, Xieting Zhou didn't like such an existence to get too close to him. Xin Yunqing, who was asked, was also confused. What? Power. Speed. Vision. Hearing. Can these be granted? But instinct made Xin Yunqing, the policeman, make a choice. Power. That's right, a policeman who often goes out on duty naturally needs extremely strong power. Xieting Zhou was not surprised to hear this. He had already sensed the other party's identity. So next, Lan Ruoming and the others all saw a new picture that challenged their worldview. A ray of red light appeared in the fingers of the prince, and then the light drifted to Xin Yunqing, and then entered Xin Yunqing's body. I will give you infinite power. Xieting Zhou said this, thinking that after getting these, this believer would not want to kiss his toes, right? Too obsessed, this reminded Xieting Zhou of when he was still awake, when so many girls and noble boys wanted to get his favor, and his believers were spread over a wide range. Xin Yunqing felt that his body was suddenly filled with infinite power, which made him unconsciously start to pinch the phone, and then the very hard touch-screen phone was directly pinched into a ball by Xin Yunqing. The other end of the phone hung up automatically, making the captain think about what Xin Yunqing had just said like a devil, and quickly asked the technical department to investigate, while Xin Yunqing and the other four looked at the mobile phone that had become a ball and widened their eyes. Xin Yunqing looked at his hands in disbelief, feeling that he was full of infinite power. Me? Am I a Superman? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 128. Such an unscientific thing happened in front of our eyes. Let alone the person involved, Xin Yunqing, who was shocked, everyone around him was shocked. After all, it was a mobile phone. Was he crushed into a ball with his bare hands? Is this appropriate? As if to prove his strength, Xin Yunqing looked at the ball of mobile phones in his hand and exerted force again. This time, Xin Yunqing's power was even more endless. He actually crushed the ball of mobile phones in his hand into pieces. Following the movement of his fingers, the phone turned into pieces and began to flow from his palm. This was simply shocking. When I felt the power that surpassed ordinary people, my heart beat wildly with excitement. When I saw the broken pieces on the ground, Xin Yunqing realized it and kowtowed to His Highness the Prince sincerely again. He was sincere. He feels that now the other party really wants him to kiss the other party's toes, and he is willing to do so, because this is beyond the power of science. To be able to be gifted like this, what kind of existence is the prince in front of me? Anyway, Xin Yunqing felt that he was unlucky, so he kowtowed sincerely. Thank you for your gift, Your Highness. I will be your most loyal believer. He worshipped with great piety, but Xieting Zhou felt that the other party's love was even stronger, and even turned into substantial strength to kiss his toes. This made Xieting Zhou's floating movements move. After all, he was his most loyal believer, so Xieting Zhou planned to temporarily forgive the other party's abundant emotions and presumption. From the beginning to the end of the era of vampires, few people actually know about it. After all, humans always believe that vampires lie around during the day and night, and then suck blood. Most of them come from Western myths, but in fact, there are also vampires in the East. It's just that the higher the level of vampire, the less afraid of various existences. A vampire like Xieting Zhou, who was born for tens of thousands of years, is no longer afraid of the sun. He is eternally young and uses infinite power, powerful enough to destroy the entire earth. However, Xieting Zhou slept for too long. Make him bored, so find something to do to occupy his time. The arrogant vampire prince did not speak, but just glanced at Xin Yunqing. For some reason, Xin Yunqing felt that his highness seemed to dislike him. You must have read it wrong. The other three people had also come to their senses at this time, and Chu Dingshan slid to his knees and reached Xie Tingzhu's feet. My respected prince, I am also looking forward to your waking up. I sincerely want to kiss your toes. I am your most loyal believer. Please take a look at me. He knelt down smoothly. At this moment, the love floating from Chu Dingshan shyly circled around Xie Tingzhu. As a vampire, he can naturally feel the strongest human emotions. Such love is full of yearning and admiration. Although she said she wanted to kiss his toes, in fact, her love just surrounded him, and her cautious look was a bit cute. Xie Tingzhu announced that he liked this little guy very much. Little one, your love makes me very fond of you, and I have bestowed upon you an ageless appearance. When Xie Tingzhu said these words, the four people present were stunned. Chu Dingshan himself was also stunned. Following Xie Tingzhu's words, a pink mist appeared from his fingertips. The mist floated to the top of Chu Dingshan's head, and then entered Chu Dingshan's body. From now on, you will maintain your youthful appearance for all the years to come, until you die. Oh my God! This thing that seemed like a gift and a curse made Chu Dingshan confused as the person involved. Especially the three people around him looked at Chu Dingshan differently at this time. Chu Dingshan can be an anchor, of course he is very handsome, but after all, he has been a social animal for several years, and his crisp appearance is different from when he was in school, but when such a pink gift entered Chu Dingshan's body. Chu Dingshan, who was wearing a blue robe, began to undergo subtle changes. He began to look younger. His appearance evolved from a social animal at the age of 26 to the most delicate and innocent moment at the age of 18, with collagen all over his face. Xin Yunqing was shocked by the face that only appeared in Zhang's memory when he was a teenager. The young Chu Dingshan now looks innocent and childish. When he looks at Xie Tingzhu with a pair of burning eyes, his love is about to spread. It is the worship and admiration for this unknown and powerful creature in front of him. He regained his youth and could even keep his appearance like this until his death. What an astonishing gift this was! Thank you, Your Highness, for your gift. I will devote my whole life to believing in you. Chu Dingshan kowtows, and his voice returns to when he was 18 years old. The clear spirit of the boy seems to float out with Chu Dingshan's lively voice. When a person's body is young, his mentality will naturally be younger. Chu Dingshan doesn't know what he looks like at this time. How surprising! My prince has approved it? Xie Tingzhu thought that when he woke up now, he didn't know whether the members of his former family were still alive. Vampires were immortal and had eternal youth, but if they were really hurt, they would still die. They did not become gods, like it is the top vampire like Xie Tingzhu who can continue to spread his eternal life. Therefore, it is very important to develop some believers. After all, in modern society, if you go out by yourself, you should still need an ID card, right? The other two people, Lan Ruimen and her cousin Lin Yan, were already stunned. They reacted first, then looked at each other. Lan Ruimen crawled over first, and then her voice was extremely sincere. She knelt there and looked up at the mysterious prince. Your Highness, I also sincerely pray for your awakening and want to kiss your toes. If you give me this opportunity, I will be honored. I also want to be your eternal believer and accompany you. Now being an anchor to make money is no longer attractive to Lan Ruimen. Her mind is full of the desire to be with this prince. I don't know why she thinks so, but Lan Ruimen also said so. Xie Tingzhu then looked at this beautiful girl. The love that appeared from the other party was burning hot in front of Xie Tingzhu, and she also made a gesture of submission, but Xie Tingzhu saw that this girl wanted to become stronger. Her love was greedy and straightforward, but she completely devoted herself. Then what do you want this prince to give you? Xie Zhou admired such a greedy soul. In fact, he personally hated those who did nothing or had no ambition. Both men and women hated it. It is not shameful for women to be ambitious, but men always discouraged this because their interests were violated. But Xie Zhou preferred the little girl whose soul was burning. Her ambition was written on her face and her eyes were full of desire. She wanted to become an extremely powerful person. I want powerful abilities, like you, to become a transcendental existence. Her greed made the other three men look at her sideways. Just like Chu Dingshan, he didn't dare to say what he wanted, just waiting for Xie Tingzhu's gift, but Lan Ruimen dared to say it, and dared to tell Xie Zhou that she wanted to become as powerful as Xie Zhou. Like this prince. Xie Zhou didn't expect that Lan Ruimen's greed was much more than he imagined, but his face couldn't help but smile, and the golden purple pupils were even more brilliant, as if he had encountered something fun. Do you know what kind of existence this prince is? How dare you say you want to be like him? Lin Yan was very scared, but he still protected his sister at the first time and stood in front of Lan Ruimen. Your Highness, please forgive my sister's greed. My sister just admires your Highness too much, but she respects you 100%. Lin Yan's love is like him, a steadily flowing river. He properly protects his sister and does not covet anything. When he sees such a magical existence as Xie Zhou, he will even give his sister a chance. He did not speak first just now, which means to let his sister speak first. Now Lin Yan is really afraid that this mysterious and powerful existence in front of him will be angered. If he hurts his sister, he will have no way to do it. Xie Zhou looked at the brother and sister who were related by blood, and admired this man's fearlessness. In front of such a powerful existence, this man is still willing to stand in front of his relatives, which is a very good person. Do you want to become like this? This sentence was said with some evil taste, and the voice sounded a little subtle in such a tone. The four people were afraid that this powerful and mysterious existence would be angry, but after hearing such words, their brains uncontrollably made them raise their heads, and then they saw an unforgettable scene. The prince in front of them was still floating in the sky, his black robe and red cloak moving without wind, and the face that made everyone obsessed opened his mouth at this time, revealing four sharp fangs above and below. This scene should have been extremely terrifying, making the four people instantly stiff and unable to move, with only their brains still spinning. Oh my God, vampires! No wonder. No wonder they instinctively called each other princes. The existence in front of them is not something that you can't figure out, but a living vampire prince. The vampire prince who is extremely powerful in various myths and legends. Lan Ruoming looked at the vampire prince in front of her, but she felt that her blood was boiling. At this moment, she knelt forward without hesitation, as if she was going to offer her neck to him. She looked up, without any fear, and her eyes were full of ambition. I want to be like you, no matter what I become. She said that this girl who was the first to receive the first embrace of the vampire prince made the right choice without hesitation when facing the most important decision in her life, and became the most loyal Rose Duke who followed His Royal Highness in the history books of later generations. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletinjian. Chapter 129. In all the vampire literature works recorded by humans, this mysterious existence is generally divided into various levels. The lowest level of blood slaves is the existence that loses all reason after being converted, and then becomes an existence that can only suck blood. After that, except for blood slaves, they move up step by step, the last vampire, baron, self-awareness, earl, marquis, duke, to the top prince. The prince of the blood clan is the highest ruling power of a vampire family. The most important thing is that this kind of thing is innate, that is, The moment you become a vampire, what kind of existence gives you power, then your power will stay at what level. Just like Xie Tingzhou, from the moment he became a vampire, his power was beyond the ability of the prince. Compared with the charm ability, strong self-healing ability, eternal life, and youthful face possessed by other vampires, these are just the most basic. Xie Tingzhou has eyes that can see through human desires. He is a higher level blood clan than the prince. He not only masters the charm and hypnosis that the vampire prince has, but also masters the gift. He can bestow the gift on human believers who worship him, so that human believers have the power beyond mortals. This is why Xie Tingzhou has always been at the top, and so far, this vampire prince who has been born for tens of thousands of years has never performed the first embrace on any other human. To be honest, looking back at the early years, after humans became vampires, they were a completely different group. Humans are omnivores, and vampires can also eat omnivores, but they must supplement blood, both animal blood and human blood. Therefore, in a long life, vampires can generally accumulate a lot of gold and silver treasures, and then they appear in the so-called aristocratic appearance in various novels. But in fact, the top vampires will not give humans the first embrace. Only those so-called last-generation blood clans will do these weird things, such as I fell in love with a pure girl and gave her the first embrace. Please, do you think that the first embrace of the last vampire will give birth to a high-level vampire? It is very likely that this person will be turned into a blood slave, okay? Xie Tingzhou is powerful. If he gives a first embrace to an ordinary human, it will not turn this person into a powerful vampire, but the moment his fangs pierce the other person's neck, the blood on the other person will be sucked dry by himself instantly. But Xie Tingzhou has other ways. Fulfill your wish, the most loyal believer of this prince. As he said, he stretched out his hand, and saw that the 5 beautiful fingers with dazzling gems actually grew very long and terrifying red nails in an instant. The nails were approaching Lan Ruoming at this time, right in front of Lan Ruoming, but Lan Ruoming was not afraid at all. This prince needs the most loyal servants around him when he wakes up this time. The ambition in your eyes makes this prince very happy. Xie Tingzhou's red nails fell on Lan Ruoming's face, and they scratched Lan Ruoming's face sharply, as if they could instantly take away Lan Ruoming's face that was loved by fans. After the red nails slid down her face, they lifted Lan Ruoming's chin, and then Xie Tingzhou looked at the skin that was already good-looking among humans. This prince will give you vampire-like beauty. Your youthful beauty will be obsessed with all humans. Anyone who looks at you will become your servant. As he said this, Lan Ruoming was already trembling nervously. She was not afraid, but excited. She knew what she was doing. She never thought it would be so clear at this moment. When Xie Tingzhou's red nails finally fell on Lan Ruoming's eyebrows, the nails finally scratched Lan Ruoming's forehead. The pain on her forehead was not the real pain, but a paralyzing pain, which made Lan Ruoming kneel there and unable to move. A red mist floated down from Xie Tingzhou's nails, and then wrapped Lan Ruoming. The 3 men on the side did not dare to say anything, but they understood that this was a gift from the vampire prince. If such a being had wanted to kill them from the beginning, they would have done it long ago, and would not have given them the chance to live now. They also received the gift of vampires. This was like a novel, which made the 3 people's thinking a little dull. The red mist surrounded Lan Ruoming, and actually wandered around Lan Ruoming, making Lan Ruoming feel a kind of pain of being cut all over. Whether it was on her face or on her body, it was as if she was cut by a knife, and she let out a painful wail. The voice frightened the 3 people. Just as Lin Yan was about to say something, Xie Tingzhou had already sensed his meaning and said directly, "To become this prince's slave, you have to pay a certain price. Power is always born with pain." After these words came out, the 3 men dared not say anything, but Lin Yan suddenly began to kowtow to Xie Tingzhou frantically. "Your Highness, I am also your loyal believer. I want to stay by your side forever like my sister and become your most loyal believer. Please give me the opportunity to be blessed. He knew what would happen if he obtained the gift of this vampire prince. Maybe he would be extremely powerful or become another existence, but his sister had chosen to become the same existence as the vampire prince, and he had to protect her. Therefore, Lin Yan's love was as gentle as water, circling around Xie Tingzhou. He wanted to beg but didn't dare to offend. His pitiful appearance made people helpless. Xie Tingzhou is probably the only one in this world who can feel human love. All kinds of desires are love, and Xie Tingzhou can feel both good and bad. Therefore, Xie Tingzhou is willing to give such a brother a chance. Yes. As he spoke, Lin Yan came to Xie Tingzhou's feet and knelt there like his sister. Then Xie Tingzhou used his other hand to scratch Lin Yan's forehead, and surrounded Lin Yan with red mist. The two brothers and sister were both good-looking, but soon Lin Yan let out a wailing sound, which sounded even more terrifying. It was obviously a short 3 minutes, but it was like a hellish torment. When Xie Tingzhou retracted his hand and the red mist merged into Lan Ruimen's body, the originally scratched wound on her forehead quickly healed at a speed that humans could not achieve, and then revealed the face that seemed to have been photoshopped tens of millions of times. Face. Before, Lan Ruimen's appearance was lowly type, cute and recognizable, and with a hot figure. Only with such a sense of contrast can she become popular. But now, Lan Ruimen seems to have opened her eyes, and her whole face is still the same. She opened her face, but turned into a glamorous one. Her skin became as white as His Majesty the Prince, and the reflection under the light seemed like the light reflected by diamonds. The most important thing is Lan Ruimen's eyes. Her eyes turned completely blood red, looking scary and weird. Lan Ruimen, who was full of ambition, had such a face with ambition written all over it. She was reborn and from today on, she is a vampire. The Duke. The power given by Xie Tingzhou was enough for her to surpass many vampires. Under the suppression of vampires, Lan Ruimen is now invincible against many vampires. Feeling that power filled his whole body, even the vampire system suddenly appeared in his memory. This is called vampire inheritance. Understanding the identity of His Majesty the Prince in front of him, Lan Ruimen kowtowed in thanks. Lan Ruimen thanks His Majesty the Prince for his gift. From now on, he only wants to be by His Majesty's side. Xie Tingzhou was still very satisfied with such a servant, and after that, people also witnessed Lin Yan's transformation. When the red mist disappeared, the severe pain on his body made Lin Yan's head particularly clear. After accepting the inheritance of vampires, he understood the hierarchy of vampires. At this time, he also understood that he had become a vampire marquis. Chu Dingshan and Xin Yunqing looked at Lin Yan's appearance. Lin Yan now looked as if he had been pinched by Nuwa again. Originally, because of his similarity in appearance to Lan Ruimen, he was more or less a handsome boy, but now he is the kind of guy who is only used in entertainment. In the circle, the real top handsome guys will be surrounded by the spotlight. And Lin Yan also has a pair of red pupils like Lan Ruimen. They understand what kind of power they have, and what a great existence they need to follow. Although it is a new era now, the power of His Highness the Prince in front of them is unfathomable, and the two of them dare not doubt it. Lin Yan is also willing to stay with His Highness the Prince forever and serve His Highness the Prince. These two people expressed their surrender. They had been reborn and were no longer ordinary humans. The moment Xie Tingzhou woke up, vampires all over the world felt the suppression of blood, not to mention that Xie Tingzhou was not the prince's ability. His ability is above that of the prince. The top vampire awakening in this world will usher in his new journey. At this moment, in the Public Security Bureau of Haiyun District, Shangjing City, Captain Xin Yunqing has investigated the location of Xin Yunqing's mobile phone. He tracked the location before, but now the location has disappeared. He can only confirm that it is the largest in the east of Shangjing City. The unfinished building of Juyang Real Estate. Everyone, come with me to find someone. Move. Although it was midnight, the police acted very quickly. Everyone got in the car, and more than a dozen police officers drove towards Juyang Real Estate together. At this time, His Highness the Vampire Prince, who was in Juyang Real Estate, spoke. "This place is too dirty. I need a place to rest." When he said this, Lan Ruimen immediately spoke. "I have a villa in Shangjing City, where I can take the prince to rest. Of course, the villa is rented, and for the purpose of filming the show, the character must be set up, but if His Highness the Prince needs it, Lan Ruimen feels that he must find a way to buy a villa for His Highness the Prince. Yes, the villa is better than the tomb here." Xieting Zhou nodded, and then followed the four people walking outside. Of course, as the four people walked, Xieting Zhou was floating, and his clothes would not be stained with any dust. As for the crystal coffin, Xin Yunqing plans to ask the police to help deal with it later. Moreover, a vampire was discovered alive, and it seemed to be a harmless vampire. We couldn't help but report it, right? But thinking about vampires like His Highness the Prince, they seem to be different from the evil vampires written in movies and novels. Moreover, after waking up for such a long time, he never thought about drinking blood. Is His Highness the Prince suffering from anorexia? His worried love floated at Xieting Zhou's feet. He was so anxious and jumping around that made Xieting Zhou helpless, but he could only accept such concern. "Didn't you just fall asleep? He's not hungry yet. When he gets hungry, he will eat. Good man, he has a golden finger." Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 130. A group of 5 people walked out of the unfinished building. Oh no, there were 3 vampires and 2 humans now. If anyone saw this group of people in the middle of the night, they would definitely be shocked. But now Juyang Real Estate is an unfinished building, and it's almost midnight. Is there anyone else there? The only cars parked outside were driven by them. Where is the location? Xieting Zhou asked. Although it was in the night, his eyes were clear. It can be said that the vampire's ability to move in the dark is several times that of the day, and even the eyesight and all aspects are extremely powerful. Just like now, as long as Xieting Zhou is willing, he can hear the young couple talking at night 60 kilometers away. But generally Xieting Zhou doesn't worry about these. He only cares about where the villa is now, and spends time in a comfortable villa to understand the current society and what it is like. It's more than 60 kilometers away from here, and it takes about 2 hours by car. Lin Yan said this carefully. He was very afraid that His Highness the Vampire Prince would be angry, and he felt a little guilty for some reason, feeling guilty that he could not serve His Highness the Prince well. "I can fly there, you just need to tell me the address." "Yes, vampires can fly. And it's very fast." "How fast is it?" "It's probably the kind of camera that produces after images, so Xieting Zhou can reach a distance of more than 60 kilometers in an instant." As soon as these words came out, the 2 humans present were shocked, and the 2 who had just turned into vampires were also shocked. Looking at Xieting Zhou's handsome face and the other's extremely luxurious dress, they really couldn't believe such an attractive person. What does it feel like when a human being is flying in the sky in the middle of the night? If someone accidentally looks out of the window in the middle of the night and sees a red figure flying past, they will ask you if you are afraid. Were you scared to death? Xin Yunqing and Chu Dingshan both looked at Lan Ruimen, hoping that Lan Ruimen would stop His Highness from having such weird thoughts. "Your Highness, I know that your power is the most endless in the world. Even if it is more than 60 kilometers away, you can reach it in an instant. But beside you are your most loyal believers. They have no ability to fly. So we can only take a car. Please ride with us. Your Highness has just woken up and you can also take a look at the scenery." Lan Ruimen said nonsense that she didn't even believe, but in fact, she kept praying in her heart that His Highness the Prince would not get carsick. If he did get carsick in the car, wouldn't they all be in danger? Yes, Yeting Zhou didn't have to fly. At this moment, he thought of the camera. He couldn't scare people in the middle of the night, right? It's better to understand the believers. In the end, the two humans breathed a sigh of relief, and then brought Yeting Zhou into the car together with the two newly minted vampires. They are all work vehicles, and they are also the most convenient and comfortable SUVs. Lin Yan is driving here, and Lan Ruimen sits in the back with Yeting Zhou, serving His Royal Highness at any time. Xin Yunqing drove when he came later, and Chu Dingshan drove when he left. After he discovered that his power was extraordinarily powerful, he couldn't control his power, and it was still very unsafe to drive. So the two cars left Zhuyang real estate. Not only did nothing happen, they also gained favor from the Blood Prince. You don't need to think about it to know that after today, their lives will undergo earth-shaking changes. An hour after Xin Yunqing's car drove out, the captain of the criminal police brigade and his people had arrived at the unfinished building. It was already 1 o'clock in the evening, and everyone was woken up in the middle of the night. After all, Xin Yunqing's previous phone call was so weird, everyone was worried. They both graduated from the police academy together, or they were colleagues, so naturally they were very worried. The policemen searched inside this old unfinished building with flashlights, and then the light continued to refract inside the unfinished building. After walking several unfinished buildings, they heard someone shouting, "Captain! There is a particularly big pit here, and it looks like there is a cave in it." Following the policeman's voice, a dozen other people gathered around and looked over. "Go down and look for it." The captain took the lead, regardless of whether there was any danger inside. He already touched the gun on his waist, then walked inside with a light and pressed against the wall to prevent any intrusion. The other police officers were in the same state. After all, they needed to detect whether there were gangsters inside as soon as possible. The previous call from Xin Yunqing really made them a little anxious and scared. The group of people quickly passed through the passage of the cave, and then quickly walked inside. Everyone is a policeman, so naturally they are not afraid of those gods and ghosts. They have been very calm from the beginning until now. Until they entered the empty room inside and saw the huge crystal coffin inside. That is a crystal coffin that can accommodate one person. To be honest, this thing is really beautiful and a bit weird. There is only one entrance and exit to this room, but now it is empty. The crystal coffin is opened. I don't know if there is anyone inside, and on the ground. This seems to be the crumbs of a mobile phone, but how come these crumbs look like they were crushed into this shape? The police who were checking for traces on the ground saw the broken pieces of Xin Yunqing's mobile phone. This thing is actually very sturdy. Not to mention the material, just the shape of the broken phone can actually infer a lot of things. This is also the reason why in many cases it is easy to deduce the murderer. Just by relying on wounds or some special traces at the scene, you can deduce what happened at the scene. Impossible, how can a person have such great strength? And there is glass inside, but it doesn't look like the broken glass was formed by squeezing. Another policeman also looked at the scraps and gave an answer. The more this happened, the captain of the criminal police brigade became even more nervous. He couldn't find any trace of Xin Yunqing, which was really scary. Xin Yunqing, who was in the car at this time, didn't know that the captain was afraid that he had encountered some vicious case. Everyone surrounded the entire scene and continued to look for traces of Xin Yunqing. Xin Yunqing, who was sitting in the car, was squeezing his palms. His mind was still a little messy. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. The same goes for Chu Dingshan, who was driving. At this time, he was almost following the car in front of him. He didn't speak for an hour. He has always been a chattering person, but what happened today had such a big impact on him that even Chu Dingshan was shocked. Don't know what to say. Will you report what happened today? Chu Dingshan asked his first question after a long time. Xin Yunqing was stunned for a moment, but in the passenger seat, he turned to look at Chu Dingshan, who was now young and could pinch water, and said with a wry smile. How can I not talk about such a big thing? Let's not talk about your return to youth. Let's talk about my infinite power. How can I hide this? Everything that happened today went beyond his previous worldview. Xin Yunqing had to see through the clouds and see another species, vampires from the ordinary human world. Vampires actually exist, and they are around you and me, and this time they met the vampire prince, the top vampire among vampires. What about the ordinary vampires? Does it exist? And Lan Ruimen and Lin Yan, after being embraced by His Highness the Prince, their eyes turned red. Did they also become vampires? These questions are lingering in Xin Yunqing's mind, but the only thing he insists on is that they must be reported to the superiors. For such a big vampire prince, who knows what the other party will do? Even if the other party is harmless, thinking about the other party's mysterious abilities is already scary. Why do you have to say it? If you say it, I feel that I am not safe physically and mentally now. What if I am studied? Chu Dingshan felt that if he was a rejuvenated person, wouldn't he be sent to a research institute for research? You. Our country respects human rights very much, so even if something strange happens to us, it will not do anything to us. At most, it will be an investigation. How can it hurt us? And you think we have encountered is this vampire prince awesome? I just searched on your phone. Vampires are suppressed by blood. The prince has the highest level, and there are many levels below. Do you think there is no one else in the world except this kind-hearted vampire prince? A vampire? This species must exist in places we don't know about, and some people must know about it. Just like some dark cases, they will be sealed into the information database after police investigation. They are to prevent others from imitating the crime and to prevent the public from panic after knowing something. So, before meeting this vampire prince, maybe other people have already encountered vampires and communicated with them? You know it then. You are now on the same path as the vampire prince. You just said you would lick someone's toes. Now if you don't sit in the same car with someone, are you going to report them? Chu Dingshan was in a dilemma. He knew that it was good to act young, but he always felt that it was a little strange to do so, and he couldn't explain why it was strange. I don't call it a report, I call it a report. And knowing the existence of this prince, I can also give this vampire prince some special treatment. After all, the species are different and they cannot be treated like humans. My heart for His Highness is still very sincerely, if it's good, I can still do it. The two started joking as they talked, but the person involved in the joke had no expression on his face. No, you can and I can't. How come a good human being likes to lick other people's toes so much? Seeing Xin Yunqing's love starting to dance around his feet, Xieting's whose body exuded air conditioning, rejecting such a hot and perverted love. As for Lin Yan and Lan Ruimen, they have become vampires. In fact, they can clearly hear what others say within a few dozen miles. Just like what the two people in the car behind are about to report, they can also hear clearly. They are no longer humans, they are vampires. Who knows what will happen if they are discovered? So Lin Yan and Lan Ruimen instinctively made efforts for their prince. Your Highness, do you need me to deal with these two? When races are different, humanity seems to disappear. When Lan Ruimen speaks, his red pupils look deep and scary. Xieting Zhou is helpless about this. How to solve it? Let them lick your toes. These words immediately stunned the two brothers and sisters who had just become vampires. When they thought of Xin Yunqing and Chu Dingshan lying on the ground licking their toes, oh, the picture was so beautiful that I didn't dare to look at it. Seeing the discolored faces of the two of them, Xieting Zhou felt comfortable. Alas, being too popular is not good either. Someone always has to lick your toes. What kind of weird behavior is this? Doesn't he find it weird?